You know, here it is, first part of November. The harvest is done, the crops are in, and the snow hasn't yet started to fly. Hi, I'm Mark Schmidt, Vice President of Sales for KWS Seeds. You know, one of the best parts of my job is getting a chance to visit farmers all over this country, to learn about their production operations, to think about the challenges that they face, to hear about the successes they had, and to think about their thoughts for the future. Today, I'm on the Kevin Etzler farm in Foxhome, Minnesota. We're gonna get a chance to talk to Kevin and learn a little bit about his sugar beet operations and specifically some of the production challenges that he's currently facing. Thanks for taking the time to talk with us a bit today. Can you give us a little background about your farm? How long have you been farming? Has your family been involved in farming?
Yes, our farm first started here in the early 40s when my grandfather moved here. And he moved here because Foxhome was the hay capital of the world. And he was going to be a hay farmer. And instead we became a row crop farmer. My dad took over in the mid-60s, and then I started farming when I graduated from college.
With that long history of sugar beet production, maybe can you give me a little background? What have been some of the main production challenges you've faced over the years?
Our main ones with sugar beets has been probably Cercospora and Rhizotonia. That's the main ones. We've been using different varieties to combat those, and it seems to work, but it's never a sure thing.
Okay. And sugar beets, in terms of compared to the other crops on the farm, is maybe a sense of the relative scale in terms of your operation, the importance to your operation. Maybe can you give us a little background on that?
Yeah, sugar beets are very important to operation. We plant usually a 3 to 5 year rotation, something like that, mainly around that 3 to 4. And it always has been our most profitable crop, especially when prices of other crops were low. It always helped us out. And also I like having sugar beets because we have different modes of action for weeds, and to help weed control on other crops also.
Bringing up ahead, you mentioned some of the challenges, and I guess one of the ones that I was interested in was just about Cercospora leaf spot. How has that been in terms of today? Is that a big challenge for you? Is it something that's been increasing in challenges, or maybe give us a sense of that?
It's always been a challenge for our farm. The main challenge started in 2016. That's when we lost our strobies. But ever since then, it's a challenge to work with, to get the chemicals sprayed on time and dealing with the weather. If you get too much rain, it can wash it off.
And how many applications in a typical production year, how many applications will you make on a sugar beet field?
Depending on when we have to start spraying, about 4 to 6 times. This last year it was 6 times.
Through the years, has the number of applications increased? And has the problem become worse, particularly with the loss of the strobies, or does it seem like 6 times seems normal? Give me a sense of that, I guess.
It seemed like it's been worse. Cercospora has been in the fields more recently. There's lots of years that we used to spray maybe only 3 times. And some of it depends on the weather. If you are hot and humid, or if you're wet, it seems like the Cercospora is more prevalent.
Okay. And in terms of cost, what is it a typical fungicide application cost a grower?
On the cheap end, if we're using a tin and a copper, probably like $15 an acre. If we use some other chemicals, it gets up to $30. Since 2016, it's been more prevalent that we have to spray. We lost our strobies in 2016. We had a neighbor's field turn brown when we were spraying our strobie. And soon after, when we found out that it was like spraying water on the beets, that our fields turned brown also. So that's when we've had to change our spraying program, try tightening up to less. You know, we used to spray 2 weeks to 3 weeks. We tightened it up to 10 to 14 days. And we also use a lot more water. We used to spray 10 gallons of water an acre. Now we're up to 20 gallons of water an acre.
We were talking earlier that the Mindac Farmers Cooperative and Mike Metzger has done a lot of research to help the growers. Can you describe that for us? Some of the work that Mike's done and the advice he's given?
Yeah, he has a plot on our field along with NDSU. And one of the ways that Mike has related and explained it to all of us to understand more is like it's like a stool with 3 legs. and we lost one leg when we lost the strobies. So the stool is only 2 legs, and it's not going to stand very well by just using the chemical part of it. We're going to need genetics to be that 3rd leg.
Kevin is far from alone in seeking a new approach in the battle with Cercospora. While spraying has offered some control, it's time-consuming, requires timely application, and is proving less effective each and every year. Even with an aggressive spraying program, it is estimated that Cercospora led to annual losses of over $118 million. This, despite growers absorbing fungicide costs in the neighborhood of $180 per acre per year. Cercospora-tolerant hybrids are available, and while genetics seem like an obvious solution to right Metzger's 3-legged stool, these hybrids bring moderate disease tolerance but decrease performance in certain situations. This impact is ironically made worse in years when Cercospora is less widespread. Because of this, growers are forced to guess at the impact of Cercospora before planting and potentially accept a substandard yield. The challenge for seed providers has always been to deliver seed that combines yield potential with disease tolerance, one that adds the flexibility to work under a variety of real-world conditions. It is a challenge KWS is uniquely positioned to take on. Fresh off of other trait innovations like Roundup Ready, the team at KWS began working on this very problem way back in 1999, beginning what would ultimately become a 2-decade journey.
I'm Margaret Rikuski. I'm the Director of Breeding for North America for KWS. KWS has always looked for a solution for Cercospora leaf spot. This is a century-old problem. So the project began in the late 90s, screening dozens and dozens of genetic resources to find potential candidates. We started looking at many genetic resources in hopes to find a genetic answer without the performance drag that the current Cercospora resistance brings. Key factors in bringing the trait forward, it's similar to any other disease tolerance. It all bases on a high throughput, highly accurate nursery. Once that's developed, you need to make sure you have good variation in your genetics so you can work with an improved breeding. You need to have people who can evaluate, that are trained and skilled in evaluating for genetics. Once you are able to phenotype, then you can start working with molecular tools and do genetic testing and DNA analysis.
After decades of breeding, research, fieldwork, and testing, KWS is proud to announce the development of CR+, a sugar beet trait that finally pairs Cercospora tolerance with strong yields, providing protection and performance for improved productivity. This innovation is a result of molecular analysis, fieldwork, data, and computer modeling spread across 20 years, all coordinated with research and feedback provided by North Dakota State University, Southern Minnesota Beet Sugar Cooperative, the Mindac Farmers Cooperative, and Michigan Sugar. The co-op involvement included test plots of CR+ planted on a number of farms, including the Etzler farm back in Foxhome with some incredible results.
CR+ has looked very well in the plot. Usually in the plots, we can look at different varieties and different modes of action of chemical that they're using, and there's a slight difference. Now, if you go and look at the field now where the CR+ is, the leaves are all green and bushy yet. You can't even tell that they had been infected with Cercospora at all. I think CR+ will have a fit on our farm. We need that to help us with the window of between the weather and the time and getting the timing down of using chemicals. It's a big difference. It could be a game changer going forward.
Following successful trials, the new KWS CR+ trait will be commercially available in 2021 from the Crystal and Beta Seed brands. The delivery of the CR+ trait caps a 20-year journey, even as work on the next generation of trait solutions is well underway.